Hi, everybody. This is Anthony, your technology trainer, here with another 10-minute learning series. Today's video is all going to be about, and I'm just going to share my screen real quick, how to create an auto email in our Matrix MLS system. So what we're going to do is just go over how to create an auto email. For those of you who don't know what an auto email is, basically an auto email is a way for an agent to get property information based on their search criteria requirements quickly and easily without having to go into the MLS each and every day to run a property search to give them information. So with that said, because this is a 10-minute learning series, we're just going to basically show you how to create an auto email in less than 10 minutes. So it all starts with being logged into the MLS. From here, what you're going to do in the MLS is just run your basic search criteria for what your client's needs are. So here, maybe you've selected the property status, you put in the city, whoops, a little delay there. You put in the city, you put in your price range, you put in your bedrooms and bathrooms, things like that. Now you get to your results screen. And from here, from our results, what we can do is that instead of selecting the properties and coming under actions and emailing them the properties, what we want to do is be able to give them property information, not only what we just found, but any new property information this day forward. This is where the auto email comes in. So what we're going to do is instead of clicking on and selecting the properties, what we're going to do is come straight down below to where it says actions. And next to actions, there's a button that says save. Under the save button, we're going to be given a list of different choices here. One of those choices says new auto email. So what we're going to do is click on new auto email. From here, we're now going to tie it to a contact. We can choose a contact in our contact list that we already have. But if they're a brand new client, very simply click on the button that says create a new contact and now fill in the required fields. Your required fields are first name, last name, and email address. You as an agent need to know a person's first name and last name. Why? Because you need to have a personal connection with them, right? Not to mention eventually, hopefully, knock on wood, you're going to be writing up contracts. So it's great to say who the person's name is or know the person's first name and last name because you need it for the contracts. And of course, we need to know their email address because we need to email them information. So hopefully the client has given you their correct email address. Now, I know that some agents in the past have said, well, what happens if the client doesn't want to give you their email address? Then at that point, they're not really serious about actually wanting to get data from you. So always encourage the client to always give you their correct email address, because if they expect you to give them information, then you need the necessary information from them in order to get them the information they want. So here we type in their name, put in their email address, and now we can hit save. And now they have been created as a new contact in the MLS. The next thing that we're going to do is create a subject line. Now, when it comes to the subject line, I always advise agents to make your subject line stand out, because chances are, like you as an agent, you're always getting tons and tons of emails. And a lot of times we trash a lot of emails just because they have a generic title or a generic subject, right? So some subject lines you want to stay away from are subject lines like, here are the properties you requested, right? Well, if they're working with 2 or 3 agents and they all say the same thing, what's that person going to do? Probably throw away the other 2 emails and not choose yours. So what I advise agents to do, just to help them out, to make sure that their clients click on their emails, personalize the subject line. From here, maybe you want to say, hey, Steve, here are the homes you requested from your agent, Tony. Okay. Here we've personalized it. My client Steve knows exactly who this email is coming from, in this case, me. So hopefully they'll now choose my email over anybody else's emails that may have that generic subject line. Now, down below, underneath the subject line, we have the welcome email message. Here, you have a very standard email going out to the client for their very first email. What we can do is click in the box here and personalize it a little bit. The things that you want to leave in here are the the choices of making sure that they select the email link or the actual web link to activate the portal or activate the auto email process. And secondly, you want to leave in the instructions to the client that says, make sure that they select their favorites, their possibilities, or they're discarded. In a way, the client has to help you understand what properties they need to see on a regular basis. And that how they do that is by selecting properties as their favorites and, most importantly, their rejected. So make sure you leave those instructions in. Now, next to this welcome email, you also have a recurring email message. Click on that and now personalize it a little bit. Here, standard, here are more properties that meet your criteria based on the updated information, yada, yada, yada. Click in the box, personalize it a little bit. That way, your client feels a little bit more of a connection with you in that relationship build. So modify your welcome and your reoccurring email message. Now, once you've done that, scroll down, and now we have 4 choices to choose from on how often a client is to get this auto email. The first is the concierge mode. The concierge mode in MLS basically is the manual email. And what I mean by that is that you as the agent actually get the email request or the email first to go through the properties to approve selected properties that your clients might definitely like. So the reason why I would use the concierge mode are for those special need clients that may say need something that doesn't really match the MLS. Like as an example, if I have a client that wants a backyard with a west-facing flower bed, how often is that something like that going to be typed in on a listing? So this may be a good choice for me to go through the properties first to make sure that I look at them, to make sure that they at least have a backyard with a west-facing flower bed before I send them that property. So this would be a good choice for those clients that need you to actually give them some special attention to detail. Now, would I recommend this for every agent or every client? No, because if you were approving properties all day long, that's all you'd be doing. And your day is way too busy to go through every single property for every single client you have. So, concierge is not your choice, then maybe the other schedules, like as soon as possible. ASAP. ASAP means that as soon as something meets your criteria, an email is generated within the first 20 minutes directly to that client of that new property. Now, this may be really good, especially when we're in a short inventory period like today, where there's not a lot of listings on the market. So getting information to a client may be essential. But if there were 20 properties that got added on the market today throughout the day, that means that my clients now got 20 different emails all going into the same portal, which what happens when a client might get too many emails? They might unsubscribe from me. So use this sparingly. You may not want to get every client on the ASAP schedule just because they may all of a sudden start unsubscribing from your auto email. So you have another choice, the daily. Right now, the daily email basically says that they get 1 email a day in the morning around 6 a.m., give or take an hour or two, or we can select 1 email a day at night around 6 p.m., give or take an hour or two, or we can get them 2 emails a day, 1 in the morning and 1 at night. Or maybe you got a client that only looks at their email once or twice a week. So now we can pick and choose what days of the week the client needs to get their auto emails. So we can pick and choose that one. The third, or I should say the fourth choice here, is a monthly email. The monthly email basically states that they only get one email a month on the first of the month at midnight. Now, I know I've had a lot of agents basically say, well, why would you ever send a monthly email to a client? Well, maybe a couple of scenarios. Scenario number one, I've got a buyer that's not ready to buy right now, maybe not buy for another 6 or 9 months. Do I want that buyer to be a cold buyer? Probably not, because a lot of times it's usually within that 6-month time period that that buyer finds a property, right? Well, maybe I want to keep them on the hook and keep them lukewarm. So I'll send them a monthly update of what's been happening for the properties that they may be wanting to look for. And at that moment, there might be a property that they see that they'll now want to work with me on. So that's one scenario. The second scenario, maybe I've got a potential seller that's not ready to list right now. Well, they don't need to get a daily update or as soon as possible update of their neighborhood information. But now I'm just going to send them a monthly update of the information in their neighborhood. So now maybe at that crucial moment where this month there are no active properties in their neighborhood, they'll now want to list with me to get their property up there because there's no competition. So that monthly email will help you with their seller as well. Whatever schedule you decide you want to choose, come down below and hit save. The moment we hit save, the initial welcome email goes out to the client within the first hour. At that point, the client will then click on the link in that welcome email message to activate their portal and activate the schedule, whatever you've chosen, for their auto email. So that's how easy it is to make an auto email in the MLS. If there are no other questions, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you've enjoyed this 10-minute long how-to video on how to create an auto email in the MLS. If you have any questions or concerns about how to do this or other things, please feel free to give me a call at 949-586-6800. My extension is 104. Or feel free to email me at Tony, Tony, at ocrealtors.org. Other than that, have a great day and have fun.